Now another thing you might notice about the objects that we use for this mesh fusion function is that the objects are not only all quads and sealed, that they are also all Catmull-Clark objects. So if let me demonstrate this to you real quick. I'm going to go ahead and add an actual just a cube to a new layer there, and I'm just going to move it off to one side. And in component mode, I'm going to just divide this, and maybe one more time. Let's just do that. Okay, so there's my cube. Now I'm going to make this cube intersect with this object on my main object. And just for the sake of simplicity, let me just go ahead and undo the fuse on this one. Yeah. All right, just so that we have one thing going at a time here. So I'm going to take and I'm going to make this guy a subtractive element. So all I have to do is in component mode, select that, and just go click there for subtract, and that made that a subtractive element. Now I'm going to intersect that object with my primary, and just hit the W key, and let me swing around here so we can see this a little bit better, and watch what happens. Look at that. Although my mesh here has sharp corners, the fusion of that is all rounded, because what it did is in the background it converted my object to a Catmull-Clark object, and so you can see that everything's rounded. Now let me show you a couple of features here too. Let me just select that. I'm going to undo it just so that we can see it a little bit better. I'm going to select a couple of polygons on this item here, and go to my cube, select a couple polygons, hit L, delete, click that, delete that. Now you can see I have an open-ended object here, and I'm going to rotate a little bit, something like that. Okay, and then I'll go ahead and make it a subtractive object again and drop it right on there, and subtraction. Okay, now click on that, and I'm just going to move it into this object, and you can see it's working fine and as an object, and it is an open-ended object. But the minute I get that open-ended part right intersecting with my primary, the whole thing falls apart. It will not calculate a fusion intersection there. So just be aware of that. So that tends to be something that trips a lot of people up. So if you're going to have open-ended objects, open-ended polygonal objects, you've got to make sure that that open end does not interfere or intersect with the object that you're trying to carve or shape. All right. Another great feature of Mesh Fusion is that it has the ability to take advantage of edge weights for your individual trim objects. So let me demonstrate that feature to you now. So let me just remove the trim function from that cube object, and I'm going to convert this to a Catmull-Clark. Oops. Make sure that I select it first. Shift Tab. There we go. And again, as you can see, as a Catmull-Clark object, if I subtract it and then move it in, you can see it behaves exactly as it did before as a cube, but now you're actually seeing this geometry as it really should be as a Catmull-Clark subdivision surface, that is. But if I wanted this corner to be sharp, I could make that corner sharp. So let me undo that. And I'm going to go ahead and double click that edge. Oops, double click. Help if I selected it. Double click that edge, and that edge right there. And I'm going to hit Shift W to bring up my weights. I'm going to hit the K key to bring up the tools themselves. And since this is a Catmull-Clark and a subdivision level of 2, if I hit 20 here, click in here, you'll see that that's a perfectly sharp corner. However, it won't be perfectly sharp if I intersected at this. I have to bump this up to like 80. And although you won't see any difference here in the Catmull-Clark, you would see it in the model itself, in the intersection of the two objects here. Okay, So I'm going to deselect my edges. Let's go to item mode, and then let's go ahead and drag and drop that on top of there. Make that a subtraction object. Click in the viewport there, and then hit my W key to move it. And now you can see I've got a pretty sharp angle there. One quick note regarding edge weights is that you do have to make sure that your Fusion item under the Properties panel has edge weights checked there. If not, it will not recognize or see the weight on your trim object. Occasionally, you'll get a trim object that will cause a breakdown in the Fusion process, as you can see by this example. And this is usually caused because the strip width is possibly too wide or needs to be adjusted because you're getting some strange crossovers that Mesh Fusion can't resolve. One of the easiest ways to fix this is to just nudge the trim item a little bit one way or the other until it works, or go in and adjust the strip widths. In this case, we're going to go ahead and change the width on this particular strip by clicking on it, bringing up that Fusion strip panel, and then just clicking on that channel haul tool right there, and then adjust the width. And generally you'll probably decrease the size, and that will oftentimes resolve the problem.